Is it that you want to achieve in the next year? What's the profit you're looking to make?
We know that this is actually a massive opportunity for us because technology is actually simplifying what you do. It's making you more effective. It's helping you to be more productive. It's kind of like having team members. So we need to start with those goals, those clear, specific, measurable goals.
Because of the extra functionality, and a lot of my clients have a lot of receipts, and I needed to be able to have that view, the desk view. My confidence has been really, really low, and it's not been easy to then learn new skills, be new at those skills, and then go out and sell those skills. So I really want to have like a frank discussion and about how we build confidence and start to see the value that we have and how we can give that to our clients. Don't think just because you're new that you can't go in at the correct price.
And what that actually means for bookkeeping is that bookkeeping is changing. What are those values you've got for your business? What are the goals that you want to be working for? Are you building the business that is right for the future that you're hoping for? Hi, and welcome back to Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I'm Zoe Whitman. I'm here with Jo Wood, and we're joined by Lucy Sheridan, the comparison coach. Hi, Lucy. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, we can't wait to have a chat today. It's really lovely to see you, and we really were excited to speak to Lucy, particularly because we actually this morning, if you caught our bootcamp session this morning, we were speaking to Rebecca Williams, who is a bookkeeper in our community. She is really visible on social media, and we were talking about her amazing success story of building her practice and offering new services by collaborating with other people in the Success Lounge and bringing other people into the business. But when you heard Rebecca talking about being on YouTube and having a TikTok channel, and she, she's grown a big audience, you might be thinking, I need to do something like that, but I don't know where to start. Someone's already doing it. Maybe I can't do that too. And we just thought Lucy's the perfect person to come in and have a chat with us today. So Lucy, can you start by telling us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I am the world's first and only comparison coach. So my work is entirely focused on helping people stop comparing themselves or their work to other people who or where they think they should be, or perhaps even to a past self. And I've been in business for 10 years this coming October. Before then, I was a brand strategist for prestige brands. So worked across all sorts of sectors.
Wow. I didn't realise 10 years. Congratulations. That's
Well,
like,
I know. I think I need to have a party, don't I?
I know, I think you do. So thinking about comparison, I mean, I love the fact that that's your focus, because it really does take over so many people's lives. And I don't actually think we're always recognizing when it's showing up, when it does. So what's the psychology behind, why we compare ourselves to others? And I loved that you even said even comparing ourselves to a previous version of ourselves.
Yeah. That's one that kind of like people don't necessarily notice as much, because so many people are used to comparing to other people. I guess when it comes to like why we do it, or psychology, it goes back to primal times, really. So let's say back in ancient times, when humans were marauding hordes, kind of grouped together and needing to stay together for safety, not only from a point of view of hunting saber-toothed tigers rather than being hunted by them, be able to have enough to eat and play a part in their contribution. Comparison was a really helpful tool that we had, because we can rank and understand our strengths in the group, and then we could know who was stronger at something, where our strengths were, or even to stay out of someone's way if we wanted to stay in the group as well, because to not be in the group would have meant almost like certain death and being kind of slung out on our ear roll. So that comparison very much kind of served a purpose for us. Take it up to today, and the ranking and understanding our progress, or maybe where gaps are, can be helpful information. But unfortunately, not just because of social media, but unfortunately because of the modern age that we're in, we're not necessarily using it to make really positive, logical judgments with that information. We're making that information about what we judge from comparing ourselves. We're making it mean something about us, mean something about other people, and often means something about, how we're not enough, we're not doing enough, and that how the gaps there aren't opportunities, the gaps are actually a failing on our part. So unfortunately, it's kind of, we don't have the saber-toothed tigers to worry about these days, but there are other threats that maybe don't have such big teeth.
Oh my gosh, I love this, not seeing it as an opportunity, but seeing it as a reason why we're further behind other people. I think that is, I hadn't seen it like that. And that's just because I think Joe and I always think, well, if someone's up here, we can get up there too. But we forget that it so easily holds us back from, and we think, well, we just can't.
Yeah, it depends what day it is as well. There'll be some days when it's a case of, oh, I've got a way to go, but okay, I'll get stuck in, I'll have a rest day and I'll start again tomorrow. So we'll, or like you said, we'll see, look, that's the destination, that's the pinnacle, that's where we're going. But it can depend on sort of like how we're doing on any given day, but also like our mindset at any given time. And that's why how we compare is as individual as we are.
What kind of things do we need to be thinking about? I think we worry a lot about social media. So as bookkeepers, first of all, a lot of bookkeepers don't want to use social media. They're definitely people who have resisted working with us because they think, oh, they're going to make me use social media. And really, we're not really. What we're really going to do is just get you thinking about how you're going to market yourself and grow your business. And social media plays a part in that today for most people and most businesses. But we worry about it and then think, well, I need to have this enormous audience or become an influencer or something. But really, we don't. Really, we just need to have an audience of people who are into what do we need to have in mind when we start out on this journey of using social media?
Well, I think that's it, though, and you've really hit on something there. So we think that we think that we're either not on social media or an influencer and there's nothing in between. When actually there's a whole scale. So, for example, if you don't want to be on TikTok, don't even download the app. But what I would say is because there's such choice today, we get to choose. And ultimately, if we're not choosing, a way of being on social media, we're not choosing success, we're not choosing reaching our goals because these free resources are there to help us get our businesses where we want to be. So what I would say is, before you even kind of like think about whether you're going to be doing reels or singing or not, whatever, which you don't have to do any of that, I would have a bit of an audit and look at like making almost like a marketing manifesto. I will and I won't. But I'm open to anything in the middle. So I will not point and sing on Reels or TikTok, but I will share tips in kind of like with a cup of tea, or I won't even show my face. If you get clear on what your parameter is, you'll know where your strengths are. And that means you're not going to, like the self-nasties can't get in about you not doing enough or you're not mastering things. Because the role is not to be, the job or the aim is not to be prolific. The job is to do enough to be in the mix so that we're chosen. Because social media has so many clues and cues that take us back to like a popularity contest at school, that's the bit of us that's coming up. Like when I'm worried about that or not fitting in, I'm not nearly 40-year-old Lucy with 10 years in business, 10 years in strategy. I'm like 9. That's it, And so if we can acknowledge that, like I say, make our own rules, stay true to those and our values, and then decide where we go from there. That means that we get to choose how social media works for us. And it's then that I would say to make sure we're looking at social media like it's a bouquet of an audience, rather than Instagram is a stem, LinkedIn is a stem, my podcast is a stem. It's looking at those things together and how they become an audience. Because one thing can often, one post or one bit of content thing we want to write or share can be transferred across them all. And when we start to look at it like that as well, we can get really clever, to use the word that you used in your brilliant videos before, be really effective with our time. So decide the role you want it to play, stick to those choices and throw yourself at what your choices are. So for example, mine are Instagram is the forerunner, because that's my favorite, but I will share, and then email is my second, but I will share content from both those things, both of those, that tiny bouquet, those 2 stems, I will share across all my other audiences. And what does that ultimately mean? My LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn is where the business of business is done. So I'll say for we as bookkeepers and supporter bookkeepers, you've got to be on there. The opportunities are so brilliant. Something like only 15% of people with an account actually post on LinkedIn. So the opportunity to see in your reach is incredible. But So again, that kind of back to me, my Instagram, and then I have my emails, and I have like LinkedIn, my personal Facebook page, and my business Facebook page, and that's my bouquet. And I am putting like one singular message out all over those things consistently. But I'm not waking up in the morning and think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do to get some likes today? I'm thinking about what is my end of month goal. And currently, I know that I would love to sign up 2 private 6-month clients for me, because one-to-one is where my focus is going right now. So I know it's the 6th of July. I have all this time to go about looking at creating opportunities and doing as much as I can to be in the mix to get those 2 clients. And I work back from that. So if that's the goal I want to achieve by the end of the month, what does that mean if I go eeny, meeny, miny, mo to this coming 7 days? What do I need to be posting, saying, reinforcing, and repeating? Because repetition is such a big part of thriving on social media. People think they have to be innovative and dynamic and eye-catching. Leave innovation to Apple. Okay, for us that want to make sure that we are building brilliant, businesses and bookkeeping businesses that are providing excellence and satisfaction to our clients, repetition is such a big part of it. So to summarize, decide on your bouquet, decide what you will and what you won't do, because like I say, I'm 14 a month. I'm not going on TikTok. I downloaded the Instagram threads this morning without even knowing what it was, thinking I better get my username. But what fresh hell is this? I don't know if it's going to turn to my favorite thing or I'm never going to touch it, but it's in the mix. So I'm deciding what I will and won't do. I won't necessarily dance or point and stuff. You don't have to either. It might be your favorite thing. Go for it. Your clients will love it if they're the right match for you. So decide on that bouquet and then get goal orientated about what your content is. Work back from what that goal is. That means you're never going to be worried about, what am I going to post? Is this interesting? Is this what Instagram wants? We're not doing it for Instagram. We're doing it for the person sitting there, stressed about their receipts or looking to make sure they're professionalised their business, and that you are that accounting expert that has that bookkeeping knowledge that's going to help provide that backbone of bookkeeping to their business. It's them we're speaking to, not our friends from school or previous colleagues.
Oh, Lucy. Oh, my goodness. So amazing. I could just listen to you forever. I'm like loving the whole idea of this manifesto of like, these are my, these are the boundaries that I'm setting. No one else is involved. And I think sometimes we need to do that. We need to come back, put the blinkers on.
Yeah.
I think what we're doing, we're spending all the time sniffing other people's bouquets.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you up to? Oh, well, how many stems have you got? Oh, my bouquet looks really small now compared to you. This is what we're doing all the time, rather than just really being proud of what we're doing and consistently doing it. I'm loving the idea of just knowing if you're doing what you say you're happy to do, then that's good. Then that's okay.
Because we'll keep it up as well.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, we were speaking, me and Zoe this morning, about someone that said something to Zoe in a play park that was a bit mean, and she was just trying to say, I'm a better parent than you.
Oh, sorry about that, Zoe.
Yeah, a bit.
What a toad. Yeah, not you.
I'll tell you what it is. My little boy fell over in the skate park. He is only 4. He hurt his lip. He was bleeding. And another mum said, I don't let my kids go on those concrete roads. It's like, he's 4. He's going to have a go.
Would you like a tissue? Is there anything I could do? Can I call somebody? No, I'm going to just let you know that I'm a bit like, I've got different. So what made me think is that, I mean, she definitely has got some issues because she had to declare that. Yeah. But when we have like values and things that we really strongly believe, and especially maybe around our children or family or something, or our dogs or cats, whatever it is, you're really happy in that. But because social media is like a new thing, we're not really sure what are our non-negotiables and what are we happy with, and it brings up that 9-year-old child of all of these, maybe I know going and being made to audition for a play or something and standing in the middle of the stage, or stand up and read a chapter from a book. It feels like we're being
right back, isn't it? And I think that's it as well, in terms of those of us that are in the professional sphere, especially bookkeepers, where there are high levels of accountability, precision, and responsibility. Perhaps you've always worked for yourself, or perhaps you've come from a corporate background or a team background, and you're taught to communicate in a certain way. It was an element of, let the data speak for itself, complete the task, and that's it, done. Lots of emails, no having to kind of be seen, really. And I mean, very literally observed and, you know, heard for what you're saying there. It's really easy to not hide, but there just be no requirement. And I think when we get to the point when we know there is the requirement, even though if we're really honest, we may not love that, is that, you know, we kind of feel like, why can't I do it? You know, oh God, I really don't want to do it. I just got to get around to it. And we know the task itself of being online and taking part and joining in, because that's what social media is. It's really joining in. And we know that if we do join in, there are great things on the other side of it for us. Because, you know, at the very least, we get to go to bed at night thinking, I did something for my business today. I did something really tangible for business today. And no one may have liked it and the views might be low, but tomorrow I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do something for my business today. But where we think social media is too busy and too complicated and there's too much going on, but I think actually the root of our resistance, if we're really honest with ourselves, is that when we post on social media or we go live or we, you know, write a short paragraph with some helpful information on it to give value, what we're really saying to the world around us, to our potential customers, to our friends and our family, to our past colleagues, what we're really saying is, look at me. And no one is encouraged to say that from a young age. It's don't be a show off. Can you just wait? It's not your turn. And then here we are where we have to take every turn's our turn. We have to kind of, you know, be saying enough that we get the right amount of attention because our business depends on it. So if you're feeling like the heebie-jeebies about it, I just want to send you like love, solidarity and compassion, because it's not as, you know, if it was as simple as knowing how to use the app, you'd figure it out. You're bookkeepers, you're smart. You know, you figure puzzles out all the live long day. But we know, if we're really honest, that that's such a small part of it. So that's actually where the work, which doesn't have to be like very laborious, but that's where, if we can pour that focus into ourselves to dissolve that fear around look at me, that's when the handbrake comes off. And that's actually really, I think, where we need to put our attention, even though it might be very, very tender to really admit that.
Oh, that is, yes, I used to be called a show off. I think Joe's had this as well before.
Yeah.
And as you know, as a child by my mum. And I think that was just, I think probably most children or most people in our generation felt that.
And it's a natural exuberance, isn't it? Because, you know, what's great about, like, you know, I'm sure if you've kind of been even just like at a friend's party and there have been young kids running around, yeah, they're playing games and such, but often doing dance routines and they're sharing them together. And there's this lovely kind of feeling of like showing themselves and being an expression. You know, my generation, which I think we kind of probably are in the same generation, definitely, that just was not there. You know, can you use your inside voice? Things like that. Like, if you're going to talk, can it be at least be quiet? And they didn't know what they were doing. But that's why I think, especially if you are kind of in your 30s or into your 40s or past that, it is so alien for us. It's so alien for us. I don't mean past it. I mean past that age, by the way. I just want to clarify that. When we recognize that we are past that age, it's so alien for us that it does feel like it's kind of a different world. Actually, we're as welcome in that world as others are. We don't have to kind of like conform to trends. But again, it's like, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your business. Just like you would, you know, because when you do it for your business, you do it for your dogs, your kids, your family, your future holidays, paying the mortgage, paying HMRC, bookkeepers, woo, go rules. Like, if that's it, when like if we can look at the bigger picture, that also make things a bit easier too. Because you know, you're not doing it to be like, everyone look at me, let's like how have my Wembley moment. It's a case of, if I reach those goals, it changes what summer looks like for me. If I reach those goals, oh my gosh, I've just done the maths. We could take the kids to Disneyland next year. We could do it. It'd be tight, but we could do it. That's the sort of stuff which means that life rearranges itself. That's actually what I think is life changing. That, and if when we really boil it down to that, it's always going to be worth it to have that courage. It's not about being brave. It's about having a teaspoon of courage, just enough courage to do it, even though we feel a bit nervous. You have to have a personality transplant or anything like that. So having just enough courage to do the minimum, even though what that new minimum is, even though we might feel a bit unsettled, is possible. And it's a process as well. Especially those of us that maybe aren't comfortable speaking up or just would much rather stick to our spreadsheets or written word, you know, we can work around what our strengths are too.
Oh yeah, I love this. So if you are one of those people who is not confident and is finding that little bit of courage, how would you suggest people get started with social media? What's the first thing?
Well, what I would say is choose your least favorite. I mean, sorry, choose your, your most favorite. Like, you're the one you don't like the least. Choose your favorite one. And I would say just start in terms of, I'll be more specific than that, no announcement. Have a look at kind of something that's done well or something that you just feel compelled to share. Maybe it's some data that's come up. Maybe you look after a lot of salon owners in your booking practice. Maybe you look after a lot of online fashion retailers in your booking practice. You go on like the Business of Fashion LinkedIn page and share an article the Business of Fashion shared recently. So it's interesting to see this coming through, because across, this is something that my clients are a bit worried about at the moment. Have an opinion. It's not just about creating, it's about curating. Be seen to be the one that, we'll all have people in WhatsApp groups that like share really cool stuff, whether it's the funniest memes or the best music or like lovely recipes. Like, be known for what you're able to spot and pass on for people. And then eventually you will build your creating credentials. But in terms of like getting started as well, as I think back to what those goals are, when I think about my goals, 2 6-month clients before the end of July, I need to be telling people kind of what my opinions are, the style of how I work, what I'm like, what I'm not like, on repeat. They don't need to know that I've got 2 golden retrievers, one of which is asleep right now, the other one's somewhere else. They don't need to know that I live in the Peaks or that I love to make a Negroni on a Saturday night. They need to know what's going to help them make a decision. It's doing enough to be in the mix. Again, it's not about a popularity contest, about producing so much that we're so famous we're everywhere, or doing so much that no one else stands a chance. We don't want to be the one top favorite, because I don't think they exist anymore. They may be doing that, in some cases. We want to be in the mix of faves, of people that like they know that when they see some content from us or they get an invitation to reach out, there'll be good quality there, there'll be reassurance there, that they can kind of get a vibe about what we're like as well. And we have to be in that mix of faves. That is almost like the goal, because every market is saturated, every market has different players, and the kind of the antidote to that is you doing enough to show up and be in the mix. We know that as business owners, especially bookkeepers being so relationship focused, it's such an important element of a business. Just like Amazon is trying to get us to basket the whole time with you buying, vitamins or socks or, fancy kind of stuff for a party, doing an Amazon haul. If you look at your Amazon app next time you're on there, everything on Amazon is geared up to get you to basket. Think about us as bookkeepers wanting to thrive on social media. Everything should be geared up to get people to inquire or to talk to you. Once the conversation happens, the business happens. I find that once I speak to someone, I get a feel of what they're like, what their challenges are, and what it will ask of me. I come alive, then I write a proposal, then it goes from there. But I'm not trying to get people. I'm on social media. The role it plays for me is I'm doing enough on social media to mean that when I say get in touch, like, yes, I will. Getting to that inquiry, that's the equivalent of basket, because we know that when the conversation happens and humans come together in that form, then really great things can happen from there. So again, like I say again, but can we see how these simple goals can focus our energy, focus our intention, focus what apps we use and when, what we say on them, in what way and when, and really kind of go back to that repetition as well, because it can be complicated. And that's why I say streamline, 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 and lead with your objectives.
Oh, it's so interesting, isn't it? How it does come up time and time again with the fact. So we have questions a lot about the fact. So maybe you've chosen your platform. So maybe your platform is Facebook, and then we get this. Should I be posting as me, or should I be posting as my business page? Yeah. Because there's an old boss from years ago, and I don't really want him seeing what I'm doing. Yeah. Or there's a family member. When we start posting, how important is it to be us and get over the fear of because some people are like, well, I can get on social media, but please can I be behind a logo and behind my business brand? But we do tend to see that doesn't have the same results.
It doesn't. And in fact, whenever I kind of help people overhaul their social media, I will kind of, in the clearest, I mean, obviously a client's we back them, but in the clearest terms, I will say, switch to a profile picture, which is like face on and like a coloured background or just a blank background, not necessarily the selfie in the pub or kind of even the headshot with you against a bookcase. I would say switch that almost immediately. It's been shown that it has, time and time again, has something like 80% more standout in a feed that's there. I would also say if you are working up to showing yourself, work up to it. So things like you could post like, rather than doing like a selfie or talking to camera about, hi, I'm just going through this like profit and loss. Oh my goodness, it's setting my life on fire. Let's go. Woo, biscuits. What's happening here? Because obviously you want to have like a lovely grounded energy because you're a bookkeeper and it's, such an important role. But it could be a case of you could, you could occasionally have a LinkedIn post, which is something like, crikey, where's this week gone? This is what I'm working on today. If you see me on here on LinkedIn, tell me to get off. Or you might come in at the end of the day, at the end of the week saying, I've barely been on LinkedIn this week because I've been working on these projects. Feels so good to get them ticked off. Now for a dog walk and maybe a glass of wine. Have a great weekend, everyone. It's friendly, it's approachable. It's not too in your face, but equally it's like bringing through personality. So if you can bring people in that sense, that can be really helpful as well. Things like people love to know where people are based. Obviously we in the UK, we have the biggest working from home culture in Europe, I think, perhaps even the world. So, if it's a case of you going to a coffee shop to help with some client work, or you're, making some social media posts, perhaps like in your sister-in-law's house, whatever, don't be afraid to show where you're working from at any point, or show yourself out getting the coffee or getting the dog walk that's in there. Even for people that are really, really scared about kind of showing that element of themselves, there's something which is personable, which we can all feel like that feels safe for us. And actually, if you use this as a bit of an awareness exercise and look at the people you like following on social media, the people you invest in that are on your team, whether it's software or literally people, where you kind of get your holidays from, right through to who's going to come and do your roof, or etc. There is a strong element of personality that's there in some way, even if it's how they sign off their emails or they sign off their social media posts. So again, this is about joining in. Find your way. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say sweetheart and babes and hun. I'm not going to talk like I do on WhatsApp. What I'm going to do is keep it conversational. How do we keep it conversational? You can literally use the notes app on your phone and say into the dictation function what it is you want to write, rather than kind regards, if you could kindly find 3 carousels about 3 mistakes that people make when they are approaching a bookkeeper. Thank you so much. Do keep me in the loop. Or rather, if you think about how you'd say it and literally write or interpret it in that way, you'll find an ease comes with the tone. Because this is something that I find comes up a lot when I help people. We're used to kind of taught how to communicate or how to write or communicate to pass an exam in school. This is prose, this is punctuation, this is what the examiner's looking for, etc. Or this is to get this group report in. Well, come on, kids, it's got to look like this. And then maybe we go into further education and then we learn to write in essays and, again, learn to write in project styles. And then we get our first jobs. And then if they're in corporate or organizations, we're taught how we email clients or how we sign things off or how we email the boss versus how we email a colleague. And then you kind of start working for yourself as a bookkeeper and you're like, where's the middle ground? I want to be friendly. I want clients to know that they can trust me and that it's going to be a lovely, jovial human experience, but I don't want to overstep the mark. You've got to trust yourself to know what that line is, but it's often somewhere in the middle of dead friendly and in your face and dead uptight. You want to kind of find that middle ground. That's where the sweet spot is.
Yeah, that's really interesting because offline, Joe and I were having a chat about managing people and the way that bookkeepers maybe talk to their clients in a certain way as a business owner, but then speak to their employees in a similar way. But actually, you have to adapt your tone to the expectations and what that person needs from you. So when, we talk all the time about how, and we did it last night. If you were in the Six Figure Bookkeepers Club at 6:30 last night, we were talking about Joe's bookkeeping service and how she talks to the client about the value. And the way to have a value-based conversation is to talk to them as a business owner and say, I'm a business owner too. I'm at the table with you. I'm not your employee. I'm here with you at your level to have this conversation. And then it's a different dynamic than if you go in as the, I'll just, I'm an employee.
Yeah, like tell me what to do. And I think that's it, because business owners have a lot on our plate, and that includes all of us here as well as our clients. And I think especially if you follow a company of one model like I do, that's a great book by Paul Jarvis, Company of One. It means that, you might have professional relationships that are set up, but ultimately it isn't an employee status where people have to come and report to you and there's appraisals, so they kind of keep levels to a point. So it's things like, especially with bookkeepers, make sure your clients know that you preempt and anticipate what their needs are, because that makes it a given. If they've had a bad experience with a bookkeeper before who kind of let things slide, or that, you know, they led to kind of upsetting letters from HMRC, etc., and bits of bother, which, you know, might be nothing to some people, but can completely derail a day or a project. You know, if your finances aren't in order, you're in big trouble, basically. If, for example, they've had bad experiences, provide and talk about, communicate that and reassure them about what it's like to work with you. So things like, every client has an easy one-stop folder, so don't worry about having to send me kind of you know, envelopes of things are in this way, or don't worry about having to remember when things are coming up, because we'll automate deadline reminders for you. Think about all the things that are stressed out, that client is stressing out about, and just show, and but make sure you're showing them and posting about on social media some of the basics about how you do business. So it might be, you know, when you choose us as a bookkeeper, there are no surprises. Like, we are boringly predictable. You know, we strive that you'll never get a letter from HMRC you weren't anticipating. We'll make sure that every time that you have had a loss, that there's a rebate on the way. We'll make sure you have plenty of time. We'll make sure we know when your holidays are, so we're not bothering you when when we need to have these bookkeeping elements ready for your wider accounts. Like, show people that can be relied on, because that's what I know, certainly that's what I bought when I bought kind of like into my bookkeeper and the accounting service. I was like, I'm too busy to know all of that stuff, but HMRC don't care, they just want the cash. So knowing that my lovely financial support, Caroline, is on it makes a huge difference to me. And also knowing that I can WhatsApp her if I've like, have I got the wrong end of the stick? I've got the right end of the stick. You know, it's that sort of approachability. If that's available to your clients, they need to know that, because this is the modern way of doing business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about that. It's all about the relationship, and also recognizing that our clients are most really going through this comparisonitis thing as well with other competitors, and being able to have a conversation with them about that. If we find ourselves on social media and we're scrolling and we see, now the beauty, it can be a blessing and a curse, because Zoe and I have created this amazing community, and it means we're all friends, and we do also, you know, always talk about, you know, it's about collaboration over competition, and let's share best practice and everything. But if you're having a bit of a bad day, and I loved you said that, you know, this can come up. Some days it'll be there, and other days you won't even notice it because you're in a better place. But if you're scrolling and you see that someone else has done something that maybe you start having feelings about, you start getting that little thing in your belly, like, oh, whatever it's coming up, you know, how can we deal with that? How can we kind of decompress the situation? I've noticed that sometimes, and me and Zoe have talked about this, the fact that sometimes I might see someone talk about something, and maybe it's just I actually respect everything they're doing. There's nothing wrong, but sometimes I feel like a little bit of a trigger, and I don't know why it is. I haven't been able to unpack it, but what I've been doing, because I have, you know, I follow loads of people. Sometimes I'm just going to unfollow. I don't know. I haven't got time to really go and get counselling and figure out why that person.
Can't WhatsApp me.
What should we? Is that a good way of doing it, or is that me ignoring something that I should be bringing up, or, you know, how should we be doing? Because I'm sure everyone at some point looks at something and goes, "Oh God, that's not making me feel great. It's not raising my frequency. It's not helping my energy levels." How should we deal with that?
Well, the excellent question, and I think there are kind of two parts to it. So in the first instance, we do need like methods or techniques that just take the sting out of it, because that's the thing about comparison, peeps, isn't it? That, like you said, it starts in the tummy. It starts to feel quite physical quite quickly. Cortisol starts running around. Before you know it, there can even be like a bit of a red mist. The heartbeat can even, you know, on a bad day, heartbeat can even start a bit there and can feel quite derailing. So a couple of things I would say. In that first instance, you can say, good for you and the same for me. Good for you and the same for me. Because you can't be in support of someone and angry at them and yourself at the same time. So it's a good override there. That's a good kind of reset of the system. It can mean that you can leave that comparison in the moment, as opposed to it perhaps leaking into the rest of your day, or even the rest of your week, or the project you're working on, etc., and the goals you're working towards. Second one is that whenever we're feeling that comparison, can take us, you know, leave the phone, leave the laptop, even leave the room. Let's say, you know, you're in a restaurant or something, and someone says something, you're like, well, I think I need a moment to myself. Go to the bathroom quickly or something. And what I would advise you do is put your 2 left fingers on your neck, so a bit like you're feeling your pulse, like you see people do on the telly, and then put your hand on your heart, and you will literally feel your life force. You will feel that pulse, which is delivering the blood all around your system, which is keeping you here. And then we can say things to ourselves like we would do to a best mate. You're safe. You're all right, kid. This was a hard moment, but you're right here. You're right here, and everything's okay right here. And just fill your body with oxygen. And why this is helpful in the moment is because when we get into comparison, like you kind of intimated a bit, Joe, we start to feel a little bit unsettled. And I don't know if anyone here has seen the Wizard of Oz, but there's this bit like about halfway through where these flying monkeys kind of come in, and it's really quite scary. That's how I compare what comparison feels like. I am actually flying around outside myself somewhere. I am not right here. And so it's really important that we do come back in that moment. So short term, to kind of dissolve it away in the moment, that can be really helpful. It means that you don't necessarily have to be hitting the mute or unfollow button. In the longer term, how we sustain it is having the courage to look at what's really going on. So in this moment, when I see that and it makes me feel a bit, you know, unsettled or envious or like it's not fair, what's really going on with me? So if I see someone has like won an amazing bookkeeping award, like Bookkeeper of the Year for my region, and I didn't even know these awards were going on, what does this tell me? Well, it has nothing to do with my abilities versus that person's abilities. They won the award fair and square. But maybe I need to pay a bit more attention and do a bit more research about what awards are out in my industry that I should be going for. How can I diarise those that I do that so that I can get a bit of recognition? Because I think that recognition is going to really help my company. I think the team will be delighted as well. We've been working so hard. So the comparison in that moment when we see someone's won that kind of, like I say, regional bookkeeper award has nothing to do with the fact that we're not good enough, and everything to do with the fact that, interesting, I'm maybe not paying attention to what I need to do to get there. So what's my plan? Now that requires a bit longer to do that, because comparison is smart like we are. And it's like a muscle memory, you know, a bit like I know exactly what to press on my phone to dial my code in, or I know exactly at night time what I need to press, like, you know, hand to turn the lamp off. It's like, it's the muscle memory that's there. We all have it. So we have to kind of reprogram it to a point, but it's worth it. Now, it might be that the end result is that comparison doesn't go away completely. But a great result for comparison, knowing it's dissolved and you're really getting there, is that you just don't care that much anymore. Like you either don't notice people posting about awards. If you do that, yeah, fair play. Or that you notice when comparison comes up, it's kind of over before it starts. It kind of flares up and then, like, you know, firework it's out, and it really spreads out between those occurrences. And I would say that's what comparison-free success looks like. It means that occasionally you are still affected. You go back to the tools that work, that you know really keep you in your own lane. And you kind of stick at it and hold the intention that you're not going to be that person that can't be helped, that can't get behind other people. You are going to be that person that can get behind yourself.
Oh, I love this. And I think that, you know what, that's so much about what we do in our community around collaboration and like pulling each other up and helping people get to, I suppose it's like, you know, Joe and I have had a lot of opportunities, obviously, because of the Bookkeepers podcast, to speak on stages and things, but we're always thinking, right, who are the next people? Who are we going to bring along with us? And I think that's been really important. And it could be quite easy for us to go, no, we'll, like, you know, and that's just not us. That would never work for us. But it's really interesting because we know so many people here support one another, and that's what we're all really about, really. So maybe we can carry that through to what we're doing on social media too.
Yeah, you guys do that so well. Such a good vibe.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with us, Lucy. It's been
great. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really good fun to be back again.
Oh, it's lovely. And thanks everyone who's joined us this Thursday afternoon. Do you know, we've only got one session of Bookkeepers Bootcamp left. We're back.
Oh, has it gone so quickly?
I know. We're back at 6:30 tonight in the Six Figure Bookkeepers Club, where we're answering your questions. So if you got involved in our competition before bootcamp and asked a question by email, we'll be answering those tonight. And any other questions you come and bring along to the chat, anything that you've got about the 6-month success program as well, we'll be there answering questions tonight at 6:30. I think that's all. Lucy, can you tell us how people can connect with you and find out more about what you do?
Sure. Well, I'm at Lucy Sheridan on Instagram. And if you kind of type that into LinkedIn as well and request to connect, I'd love to see you over there too. Like I say, LinkedIn is such a lovely vibey place these days. My pleasure. Thanks very much for the lovely feedback, friends. I really appreciate it. So glad I was able to help today.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. There's a lot of love in the comments. Everyone is really feeling like your warmth and connection is amazing. And I think we all feel like better people after listening.
Oh, bless you.
So, thank you so much. We'll see you all later on at 6:30 for our final session. Take care.
Okay. See you next time. Bye, folks.
Bye.
Cheerio.